The links to the other parts of these videos are in the description below. Thank you.
I am Letecia Stauch, which is Gannon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20-some death threats already. Two, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, and of course I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, you know, and in doing the investigation I was told I wasn't complying. And could I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes, so I asked for an attorney during the interview, and I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, you know, said I still wasn't complying or said I was, you know, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
Welcome all you couch detectives out there. Join us every week for new cases, and if you're a fan of true crime, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. The absolute best way to support the channel is to subscribe, and if you appreciate what we're doing here, hit that like button. Let us know that we're moving in the right direction. Okay, enough rambling, let's get into it. If you are unfamiliar with this case, Letecia Stauch was the last person to see her stepson, 11-year-old Gannon Stauch, alive. She reported him as a runaway on January 27, 2020, and after weeks of searching, Gannon's body was eventually found in Pace, Florida by bridge workers. He was in a suitcase. Letecia made several different reports to authorities regarding the disappearance of Gannon, including a kidnapping, a bike accident, him running away. In this interview, you will hear a few of those stories out of her mouth. This is the second interrogation of Letecia Stauch, conducted by Agent Jonathan Grusing of the FBI. He traveled all the way to South Carolina to question Letecia on the whereabouts of 11-year-old Gannon Stauch. Again, you will hear some outlandish stories from Letecia. If you missed the first interrogation, all of the parts are linked below. Before we get started, let's have a moment of silence for the victim in this case.
So tell me about the next morning then. So now you're at home, Gannon's at home,
Right.
Elena's at school. Tell me what happens then.
Right. So this is where I need help from everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
And you can get help. I've like I said, I've had some high-level informants that have told me some horrific things, and we've had to relocate them. We can get different names. But to do that, to kick that in motion, we need to know the story. We can't just say,
right.
oh, someone's got really important information.
Right. Well, that's where I would need someone to help guide me through this, because I want to help more than anything.
Well, that's why I'm here, because I'm representing Denver FBI,
Right.
and then I have the ability to pull resources from Quantico, which is our behavior analysis unit. Everything comes out of there.
Right.
It's called CERD, which is our incident response group. So
Right.
this was a big enough case that the supervisor of the FBI asked me to come down from Denver, and I get all my training out there. So
Right.
you're not going to have better resources in this room right now, and I'm not bragging.
Right.
I've just been doing this stuff for a long time.
Right.
So if you tell me what happened, and then you need protection, we can do all that stuff. So DEA doesn't have those capabilities. ATF doesn't. No. DEA just investigates drugs, and they're very good at it.
Right.
But the FBI, we're now worldwide, and we have offices Bogota to Russia to China to wherever.
Right.
So, and we get a lot more funding because of when September 11th happened, that changed everything for us. We were the nation's #1 law enforcement agency before then, but they gave us so many more resources since then.
Right.
And so I am specialized in missing kids and unusual homicides, including serial killings and whatever else. So I didn't get in right away on your case, but I have been working it for the past couple of weeks.
I wish I could have talked to you again.
Yeah. Well, I'm here now, and whatever you tell me, the worst thing I can do for people like you is if you have a story that requires your protection for the FBI, it would not be good for me to run out and say, oh, Letecia told me this, and that's not how it works.
Yeah.
If this can help us find Gannon, we'll do whatever we can. Okay?
I'm not, I just need, protection for a family. And I swear to you.
Okay. Well, you can get that, but we have to know the story first.
So how am I supposed to get help talking to someone first before we talk to you? Because I'm willing to do that.
So here's your deal. If you need help, and if you want to go through the court process, that's fine. We leave, and then you work through the court process. But then it just becomes the whole focus of this, Letecia, right now you're the only one. You're the last one. You're the last adult with him. You're the last adult we know about with him. You have not told anybody anything else to lead us. We have been trying to work with Al to say, what is she saying now?
Yeah.
And the Quincy Brown thing and whatever else.
I was mad at him about all that. But a lot of it was keys to help you guys. But it should have just been... If I could have just reached out to someone to be like, I'm terrified for myself and for my family, then it would have been. And also what I can help you with can also help you with something else you might be already working into.
Well, what is that?
I'm just saying.
Well, Letecia, you've got to give me something here to work with. If you want to go through the court process, like I said on here, the last question, if you want to stop at any time, you are more than welcome to stop and say...
But it says you can have one present to talk to you.
Yep. And that will kick in the court process and then we're done. Which is fine. And if that's what you want. Okay, but the whole... If you need protection and that sort of thing, I can't get you there without you giving me something. So... I listened to all the calls with Al, and I've seen the crime scene reports. Okay, what happened in the bedroom was not Gannon slinging his blood on the wall.
Well, that's totally, not even to do with anything.
Yeah,
that's why I'm so, upset about bedrooms and all those things. Because I understand you're an expert. I know that. But I'm telling you, I'm going to need, protection. That's it. It's not me. I'm not the person.
So, but if you're not the person, the charges won't be different. Okay, if you allowed someone else to come in and do the things to Gannon that we know happened to him, you're just as guilty.
I didn't allow anyone, and I don't know of anything like you're talking about to be happening to Gannon. I do know that there's something I can tell you that can help you, or help me, help everyone. But I do need that help.
Well, so let me tell you where I am. Okay. Like I said, I've been 23 years with the FBI. For the last 20, I've been working violent crime. And I've worked some of the worst cases. And it's kind of messed me up a little bit, to be honest.
Right.
Seeing what I've seen. And I worked 20 years of bank robberies. So I always thought that you were going to have, I'm the FBI, I'm the good guy, bad people go rob banks. And that's not how it is. I've had to help arrest other FBI agents, police officers, people from the church, school resource officers. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. And on the other side, some of the bank robbers, one of them came out after serving a 10-year sentence, and we hit it off just fine, even though we were on opposite sides of the fence.
Right.
The thing that I have seen, though, throughout is when something very bad happens, people think they can't recover from it. And I do not think you are a bad person.
I'm not.
That's why I'm here. No, I don't.
I didn't do
I've
bad
seen bad
and I know
people.
you told people that to get them to help you,
No,
but
I'm
not.
I would not have this approach with you if I thought you were a bad person. I think something bad happened. And I think that what I've seen a lot, whether it's you think that you can get out if you do this or this or this, that's where you are now. And you're hoping that one of these things can save you. They're not going to be able.
What do you mean? What were you talking about? Someone's not going to be able to save me.
There was nobody else there. Okay. We've looked at the alarms, we've looked at the motions, we've looked at the
Sir,
detectors.
The alarms are already covered up.
The alarms were already covered
Yes.
up. Okay. But
Sir, I'm telling you, what you have is not you. I know you say you wouldn't sit here and say this to me if I wasn't whatever. I'm telling you, it is true. I would not and did not. Would not, did not. And with you guys having my phone, I would have thought that you would have had some of the apps looked into. Now, I would have thought that sometimes when I talked to Albert, you might have listened to them all or whatever. It could have been some help and indication on the apps. I really did. Because I couldn't come at you and just tell you if you say there's somebody not involved. I could walk you through it and prove it to you, and you guys have already had this predetermination. I don't mean you. I haven't. It's the first time I spoke to you. You guys have already had this predetermination that that's what's going to happen. It's already in your mindset.
Yeah, because we have no other evidence pointing us elsewhere.
Right.
So if there was a shred of evidence, Letecia, that pointed us to some other person, we would be all over it. As soon as Quincy Brown came out of your mouth, it doesn't take long.
So you know 100% he's in Mexico right now.
Yes, we do now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because we did get our legal, we have what's called a legal attaché.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's where that alone, and I get that you're saying you have someone who looks into that and knows that. That's where I know in my heart that I can't trust to get help. That very reason.
You're saying Quincy Brown's not in Mexico?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But you would have said another word, like something in between that would have gave that off. Like, you wouldn't have said he's just in Mexico and you didn't do anything. You would have said, oh, did he come back here for a reason? You wouldn't have said any of that. You would have known some other things too. Or maybe you have and you just can't tell me those things. And that's okay. But...
well, we don't... in a case like this, so tips will come in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the public will call in. And then, of course, you and Al are of primary interest because you're the parents of the missing kid. And most, 90% of the time, when a kid goes missing, it has to do with one of the parents.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That we work on probabilities.
Okay.
So, and especially with you, then, you're there, you say he went to a neighbor's house.
Okay.
That's the very first thing you say. And then there's no thought that somebody took him.
You said there's no thought?
There's no thought for law enforcement.
But you're not understanding what happened leading up to the days before. Nothing to do with Gannon, nothing to do with me, okay, in terms of me and Gannon. Okay, I love Gannon with all my heart. And so you can sit here and say 90% parents, this, okay?
I'm not saying you don't love him.
I love him.
I'm saying that even I have had times when my son rolled the basketball underneath that I wanted to turn around and do something, and then I would have regretted it later.
But what you're saying to me is, what you think is that I hurt Gannon.
And I don't think it was intentional.
Okay, but I didn't hurt Gannon, okay? And I didn't either intentional or not intentional hurt Gannon. I did not. That's just not what happened. Okay? And I had this conversation with you just to see for a second if I could get help from you.
Which you can, but how can you expect me to help you, Letecia, if you're not going to tell me what happened?
Because
you can't go, just so let me tell you. You can unlock the entire resources of the FBI right now. I've told you that. But then you say that you're not willing to do it, whether you don't trust me or you think that there's these
But you
people
already
involved.
told me someone wasn't there based on an alarm.
That's from what we can see. Yes,
Okay.
movement in the basement,
Right.
movement upstairs.
But you've already
etc.
told me that based on that, okay? But what you're not realizing is there's 2 sensors on that home, okay? Two that can easily be manipulated, easily, okay? And if you even knew anything about prior, you would be thinking a lot differently now. But see, that's why I can't talk to you about these things, because you already have predetermined what you think.
It doesn't matter what I predetermined.
But you
Listen,
said intentionally, unintentionally, and that's not the case.
I'm not saying I'm right 100% of the time. It doesn't. You need to just disregard whatever I think, or really whatever anybody else thinks. If you have a truth, and if you have something that will help us find him, really, to hell with me and everybody else and what we think. You should just cast that aside. All I can follow is the facts of the case as they're told to me.
Okay.
And so for me to go somewhere else besides the facts, I have to then go back to the facts to check it. So when I say something
I'll
like,
talk to you in private, but you can't tell Albert about anything that led up to it or anyone else.
Albert will
But
not know
I
any
will.
of this.
I understand that, but I will. But I need your help, and I need to know that you tell me there's resources, you tell me whatever, okay? I know you're saying you got whatever, this and that and all that, but I really am going to need help, like, a lot. Swear to you. Don't base it on some alarm reports, because they can easily manipulate it.
Well, we're not just
They
looking
easily
at
were.
alarm.
I know, I'm saying when you're saying no one else was there.
So
When you say that, don't base it on that, please. I'm begging you. Because that was not even remotely. It was not even it. Not even.
So you care about Gannon.
I care about Gannon. I have reached out every day offering for people to go with me certain places to get even insight, to see. I've every day asked, hey, can you go do this? Can someone meet me here?
So you've asked someone to go look for him?
Right, like I reached out and I asked Albert, I said, hey, can you meet me? Let me tell you about this, and let's go to this location to look. I've asked all these.
What location do you think he's at now, Gannon?
No, I'm just saying, like,
No,
in general.
but I'm asking you.
In
right
general.
Now, where do you think he is right now?
I don't know exactly. I don't know.
Well, where do you know him to last
But I am 99% confident Gannon is alive.
Okay. Letecia, where do you know him to last be?
I want to help, sir, but I'm in a room, and you've already talking about all this and the courts, and it's me against everybody else.
So here's the deal. Once this thing goes through the courts, you talk about that, you're the only one to be with him. You think you're going to be able to tell a story.
A story?
It might be a true story.
Gosh, sir.
But
Story?
listen, I've listened to a lot of your stories, and I don't know what else to tell them.
Yeah, okay, but that's because I was mad at him. Had nothing. I already knew.
But I've seen what you told the news reporter. I've listened to what you told El Paso about the sex assault that happened in the house.
I already knew that you guys were listening to him.
Yeah.
So I said that because I was angry.
But what I think I can offer you today is some help.
Okay.
Okay. And I've told people that I've worked with here this story because you remind me a lot of a case I worked about 5 years ago, and I'm still working a little bit of it today because of the fallout. There's a guy from Highlands Ranch, his name's Harold Henthorne,
Okay.
and he pretended to go to a job every day like he was earning a lot of money. His first wife, she was a social worker in Denver. She ends up getting sick. He's going to have to pay for her medical bills. And because of that, she's going to be sick. She's going to have medical bills. She's going to find out that Harold doesn't really have a job.
Okay.
His image was very important to him. And he ended up staging an accident. And I'm not saying he did this to Gannon. I just want you to listen to the story. And the car fell on his wife and killed her. And he got away. Yes. It was down in Sedalia. A Jeep, he somehow got her underneath the Jeep, and the entire Jeep came down and crushed her. 10 years later, 12 years later, he's married to a second wife. They have a lot more money. They have a family. Harold's a Christian man. He went to Cherry Hills Church, which is a big church in Highlands Range. And he built the walls for Juarez. He would go down and do mission work, etc. So he had a good heart. But his second wife, she was an eye surgeon in Cherry Creek, and she kind of her family started figuring out that Harold didn't really have a job. And he actually dropped a beam on her head at a cabin, not trying to kill her. We don't know what that was about. But she stopped the oil checks coming in to Harold, because Harold he was collecting the family's oil checks. And then she ends up falling off the cliff in Estes Park. And you can't prove the difference between a push and a fall. And I found this out going into it, because if it happens in Estes Park, it's a federal crime.
Okay.
So Harold stood to inherit $6.5 million for her death. And he was just fine coming out there, but Harold told different stories to different people. Like from his church, he would say Tony was his wife. He said Tony was clumsy, she wasn't paying attention. Tony was looking at turkeys, she just ran off the edge. Tony was this, and that really hurt him in court. Because what happens later on is Harold's thinking, I was just saying this, because, maybe she was doing that, maybe she wasn't.
Right.
Instead of saying, this is what happened.
Right.
And he also said, I didn't see her when she fell off the cliff. He said, I was just looking the other way. Really? You're looking at her the whole time,
right.
And then the time that she's off the cliff. Right. And so I'm looking at your story, the ones that you've told to Al, the ones that you've said in the media, of hitting your head. When you hit your head, you didn't see what happened. And then when someone else takes Gannon, or when he's riding a bike and he hits his head and stuff like that.
No, riding a bike. I just told you I was saying that to Albert because I was upset that he wasn't listening to me, that I did not hurt Gannon.
I don't think you intended to hurt Gannon at all.
Sir, there's no...
No, I'm not saying you did. Or he hurt himself. Something bad happened in his room.
No.
Have you seen the...
Sir.
You helped clean it off the wall.
Sir,
we know that.
This here, what you're talking about is completely irrelevant about the whole thinking mad, whatever.
Tell me about, if it's irrelevant, Letecia, help me. Because there's a big blood pool in the corner, there's spray on the wall.
Because if I tell you anything about any of that, all you're going to say to me is, hey, da-da-da-da.
If you didn't do it, no, I will be your advocate. Because why do we know each other?
No, but
Why would I care? If you didn't do it, and it helps me find Gannon?
I didn't do it.
Okay, well then help me find out who did.
Who did what?
That to Gannon in his room.
Done what to Gannon in his room?
There's a pool of blood in the corner.
Okay.
That's Gannon's blood.
Okay, so you're saying, now this is where I have a hard time knowing whether to be like, okay, trust you or not, right? You're saying there's a pool of blood. Albert said saucer-sized blood, because I'm sure you had him say all this, because I'm sure you were there, or whatever. Okay. In his room, and you said something about, what'd you say?
On the wall.
Okay. Then, if that's your whatever, your expert advice, or
there's
whatever.
More blood.
Okay. Then, where do you think that I had any involvement with Gannon, and where did he go? That's where it has to click at some point. That.
And that's what I listened to you do that to Al, to where you're making him guess what happened to Gannon.
I don't want him to guess.
Well, no, you're asking me to guess.
No, I was asking a question, sir. I wasn't trying to get you to guess. I was just saying in general, asking a question. I want help with people understanding. I tried to give any insight, help, clues, anything, but I can't because they know my daughter, everyone, my family, my mom, everyone. And you can think that...
But right now, Letecia, I mean, you can go down that road, but it's not going to save you in court.
But,
because you're the last adult with him.
so,
And nobody else, just let me try to
I'm
protect
sorry.
you. I'm not trying to hurt you here. This is actually protecting you. If you don't tell us where to go investigate, then nobody's going to investigate for you. You're the last adult with him. You told a lot of lies about all these injuries from
not
his
to,
foot.
I didn't tell lies to you or to any police officers.
Did a sex assault happen in the house?
I didn't tell any lies to you or a police officer. Okay?
So we don't have anybody to chase though if we don't chase you. Do you understand?
But if you chase me, okay, and you do this to me, people are protected because you guys aren't going to protect everybody else. People are protected. Okay?
We can protect people. We can protect you, family, if this is involved. Now, I've worked South American theft groups. I've worked gangsters. I've worked organized crime. None of that stuff rings true with what happened here. I mean, how is a very organized gang going to come into a house in Colorado Springs?
Who said it? A house? Why does it have to be in the house? See, that's where
he
you're not...
last was.
Oh.
Are you going to make me guess where he was then?
No, I'm telling you. You're not going to listen to me. See, you already just said the last was in the house.
But see, you're going back to you care what I think. You shouldn't care what I think.
I do care what you think. You want to know why? Because I care about how people think of me because I am not that kind of person. That's why.
And if you can point me to a different person, then I can help you.
I gave hints before.
But don't give me hints.
But the thing about it is, if I gave you hints, you automatically took it in an approach of thinking, oh, well, we already looked at the alarm system.
No, that's not how it works. So think about how much we've looked at you over the past month.
Okay.
You give me a new name, or Quincy Brown, or whoever you want to throw, we can do that same sort of microscope. Because you know in here I even have what you entered in your phone. The stuff that you've entered and deleted. Like blood is spurting from an arterial bleed, direct pressure not controlling.
Do what? I didn't look this up.
It's from your phone.
Blood is what?
Spurting from an arterial bleed.
No.
Well, somebody did from your phone. I don't like my stepson.
No.
I don't like my stepson. Should I get a divorce? I'll stalk cheating. I'll stalk Instagram. I'll stalk cheating in Colorado Springs. Catch I'll stalk cheating. How to get blood out of sheets.
Out of sheets?
Mm-hmm. I want immunity.
Oh, the blood out of sheets was because we always had always nosebleeds. If I ever looked at blood out of sheets, it was nosebleeds.
And I figured it might be something.
I didn't ever look up anything about an artery or something unless it went from something else.
It's on your phone.
And I never looked up anything about my stepson unless someone else did it.
The reason I brought up gangs is you looked up, I want immunity because it was gang related. And this sounds like, find me a new husband, find me a rich guy who wants to take care of his kids.
The new husband is just because Albert already knew that was about the lady Debbie Sherrill who wanted to find a new husband after 35 or something. He picked me about Amazon.
And like a lot of these can have nothing to do with this.
It doesn't.
I get it. Can I spray paint wood?
Spray paint wood? Well, we always sprayed wood.
Yeah. I'm doing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help.
Oh, that bothered me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame
Oh,
you.
yes, because I wanted them to be mine, like
what about
me to be their child.
Hit and run? You Googled a lot on Letecia and traffic accident, hit and run.
I didn't hit anybody.
No? What was that?
What date was it?
I don't have a date on these. I was downloading stuff as I was coming on the plane.
Yeah, no, I don't.
My husband wants a divorce. My husband wants a baby, but I want an abortion. One day, some people will wish they treated you differently, which I get that. Parenting should be for people, not one. Quotes a suicidal person might say. I mean, these make me very sad when I read them because I can see you're doing all the work at home by yourself.
Which I wanted to be there. Like, I wanted to totally have the kids as my children. That's the point you're not getting. Like, I wanted those kids to be saying to me that I'm their mom.
Yeah.
Like, I am the person who does it, cares for them, loves them, everything. So you can think that.
What do you do if you suspect a person swallowed poison? Did somebody actually swallow poison?
Poison? I don't know. I always click things and read them. No one
Did somebody swallow it?
No one swallowed any poison.
Okay. You will never forgive me and treat me like a princess. You'll never know when it's too late.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always search for things when Albert was gone.
What is an Alford plea? Did you figure out what an Alford plea was?
Alford plea?
Yeah, ALFORD.
I think someone asked me that and I probably searched it.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Do you remember? What did you remember?
I don't remember. I just remember something. Because someone was writing that online. So if anyone wrote something online, I looked it up. Just like the other day, someone wrote something about FBI coming or something, and if I see something online, I always Google what someone else says and see what, like what they're saying is matching what is saying online.
Right.
So like I did that completely. I do that all the time for everything.
So if you're not willing to go with who took Gannon, can you at least tell me what injuries he suffered? The true ones. As far as the cut foot, was that a legit injury?
Yes.
And where did that happen?
So he was outside in the garage, and when he was outside in the garage, he was running to go help me take the take the trash out, come back and help me get stuff out of the car, and then he stepped on something, which I left the blood there. Like, I left it. Like, because Albert said, don't touch that fine wood or African wood, whatever kind of wood it was.
What did the piece of wood look like?
It's just, I don't know, like a board.
Okay. And it's still there in the garage?
I had to drive over them all the time. So, like, I always had to drive over the pieces of wood.
Right. But you didn't take that out of the garage?
It's too big. You couldn't have fit it in anything. You couldn't have fit the pieces. The long boards that were in the garage, you could not fit. I left. So there was the piece of board that I threw in the back of Albert's truck. And then there was the two long boards that were sitting there. So the board that was about like this size and the board that was the long boards that were sitting here. I left the long boards because that was supposed to be the fancy wood, and I didn't want to ruin it by trying to get the blood off of it. The other piece of wood was the wood that I threw in the back of Albert's truck.
And what was that one?
There was a bunch of pieces that were laying around that from that night, from us running through there. It was like little pieces. There was a piece about this size, maybe a couple pieces. But
and you threw it in the back of the truck? That bigger piece?
Well, you said bigger like this. It wasn't that big.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cheap wood. Like, I knew it was not the wood that he would be freaking out over. So from Sunday, he did hurt his foot from Sunday.
And how badly was it bleeding?
It wasn't. I say Saturday, I'm sorry. From Saturday. Albert had just left, like, to drive to the airport. He wasn't even gone long.
Mm-hmm.
He had just left to drive to the airport.
Okay. So did it require a Band-Aid?
Gannon, whenever he always does something, he tries to be like, he's not like Lena where he's like, oh, I need a Band-Aid or whatever. Gannon would literally walk around with toilet paper in the middle of his toe, and it would have blood or whatever, and just run everywhere to his room or whatever.
Yeah. So what did you do on this occasion?
We literally took the paper towel, that's why I just told you about the toe, and put it in between them.
So it was in between his toes is where the injury was?
No, it was like wrapped here.
Okay.
Like, we had it wrapped. And I don't remember if we got a Band-Aid, to be honest. This is just what Gannon.
So that doesn't sound like a big injury.
Well, it wasn't. I mean, it was blood. There was no big injuries. I left it on the wood because I said I'm not going to clean his fine African wood.
What did it look like on the wood? Drops? Streaks?
Well, what I did originally was I was trying to take water to do it, but then I realized if I put cleaner, then that wouldn't do anything but cause the wood to damage, because Albert always wanted to build things with all this wood that we bought. And if I use those pieces of wood and all that stuff, then,
Did you ever use that shop vac to clean up anything out there?
No, I never used the shop vac. The shop vac was never, I couldn't even, move anything with the shop. Anything that would have been used with the shop vac would have been Albert. Other than the times that we brought it, which would have been weeks ago, and we did spring cleaning or fall cleaning around the house, in the corners, and that type of thing.
Okay.
So that would have been the shock vac. There was nothing I ever did and vacuumed up something with a shock vac.
Right,
or like,
that helps me. I'm just asking.
like any of that.
Right.
There was none of that ever happened.
So, the burns on the arms weren't that bad. The cut on the toe or the bottom of the foot wasn't that
So
bad.
we still were able to go hiking. He was able to still go
Right.
hiking. It was bleeding on the board.
But
we
not
never
after that, not all over the house, that sort of thing.
Well, he had the piece of paper and went down to his room,
Yeah.
like wrapped around his foot. So, I mean, if anything, there could have been drops of
Okay.
blood or something, but no.
What about the wound to the head that you talked to Al about?
So Albert was like trying to get me to say whatever, because I'm sure you guys are having him do that, and I knew that's what he was doing. So Albert was trying to get me to say that, like talk to him about, like wounds or whatever. So I threw off some stories to Albert because he was making me so upset, just like everyone not understanding that there's an intervention portion here, and there's someone intervening in this. And that's where people didn't understand or want to say anything. So I just started rambling stuff to Albert. And I even said to you guys, hey, I know you're listening. And it was just to be whatever.
But do you know what that sounds like, though, to a dad who's missing his kid? And then you say, and a grievous head wound happened where it was blood running down his face and that sort of thing. And it's, had to bandage it up. And
well, I don't remember saying anything about bandaging up.
I think you said Quincy Brown tried to bandage it up.
Oh, because he was making me mad about something, yeah. I was about to say, I don't remember me saying I did that. But.
So he did suffer a head wound, though.
Head wound?
Yes. Okay. Head or neck.
Okay.
And that is what caused the blood there. And so, even if you choose not to tell us where Gannon is today because you're too nervous or whatever else, we would like to know where that was on him. So if we find him on our own, if you've given me the clues to go find him, that sort of thing,
mm-hmm.
Where was that wound?
Gannon is alive.
He's alive, fine, but where was that wound? Was it his neck or his head?
I don't know anything about a neck or head.
Well, you had to clean up the wall. You went ahead.
That is not even from what you're talking about there. Had nothing to do with anything from Saturday, Sunday, and whatever. That had nothing to do with any of that.
How could it not?
It did
there
not.
There was a lot of blood.
It did not.
You're going to have to explain that.
Sir, it did not.
Well, just tell me how.
It did not. I promise
But
you.
you're not going to tell me how.
Because
so where we can help you with
you're not going to help me, though.
How could I not help you? How are you going to get up, Letecia, on the stand, after telling all these stories, which we're going to ask you about, and then say, I can explain all that, and it's some party that I never told law enforcement to go chase? If Gannon is alive, we have an 11-year-old kid somewhere being held against his will, and you're not telling us. You might as well have done this yourself. That's why I'm saying...
Let me hold your pen. All right there. Oops. I'm not fill it out. I'll just put that there.
Fine.
Here you go.
What about the blood in the back of the Tiguan?
Tiguan?
Mm-hmm.
The only blood would have been in the back of the Tiguan when we opened the car up. In the car, we were sitting there to do his foot. There's nothing to do with it.
There's too much to be
No.
just a toe.
No. No, sir. That is absolutely not true. That was where we were sitting on the back of the car when we were unloading the stuff. We were sitting on the back of the car. There is no, no, sir.
There's plenty in the garage, though.
But There was nothing in the garage. There was plenty of times that everybody worked in the garage. Had nothing to do with.
Not everybody. Gannon's not working in the garage and bleeding all over the place.
There was nothing about bleeding all over the place in the garage that had to do with anything. I'm telling you, what you're asking me was completely, totally different than anything has to do with.
Do you know what this looks like? Say you're telling me the truth. Again, please don't care what I think. Say you're telling me the truth right now. That Saturday had nothing to do with him disappearing and being gone for over a month. Do you know what that looks like for you?
It looks like I'm in the middle of a situation that I need help getting out of.
But you're not willing to tell me how to help you. So now you're saying that Gannon had a really bad head wound on Saturday.
No, I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
The head thing was Saturday,
right.
and amount of blood there?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what you're talking about completely different than what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this doesn't look any better for you, because now you haven't told Al that he has a head wound. You haven't called the hospital.
It wasn't like that. It was not what
well, then
it was
you have to tell me. I mean, you don't have to do anything, but...
It's not what it was like, sir. It's not... Had nothing to do with me. It's not what it was like, sir. Okay.
So did someone else injure him on Saturday? That's an easy question. You don't even have to tell me a name. Did someone else injure him on Saturday?
I wanted to meet friends because I didn't have friends. Okay. So I wanted to meet friends. Okay. Albert ever tell you about any of these apps he had me to go on?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's where this is going to be whatever, because you're not going to take my version and my side of it.
But Letecia, let me stop you. If you help us, I will take whatever version you tell me, and I will actually prove it. That's all I do. Is I don't chase. I am wrong most of the time.
Do you have a way to pull up apps? Do you have a way to pull up the stuff on apps? Do you have that?
We can do that while you're here, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm saying, you said you have this.
Yes, we have ways to pull up apps.
Okay.
What app?
How do you have ways to pull up apps?
We have technical people. I'm not a tech person, but we have plenty of tech people that are super smart to do it. If you tell me what to do, we can do that while we're talking, take a break, you can go to the restroom, whatever else. We can solve this thing right now.
Why come I just can't talk to you without a bunch of people watching me?
Then we can talk right now.
Yeah, but come on, there's people here.
Yeah, what do you want me to do? You tell me what you want to do, and I will have you do it.
I want to talk to you, to tell you about leading up to anything. I want to talk to you because I want you to find Gannon, and I believe in all my heart you will help me. Not lie to me.
I will help you.
Not try to say, oh, you're telling the story and throw me somewhere. Okay?
So is he alive?
Let me finish this and I'll answer your question. I understand what you're saying about federal versus local, whatever. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to want to talk to you is that I don't want anything said before held against me if I provide you with 100% the truth to help you.
That'll work. This is the first time we're talking, and it's for a reason. You haven't talked to the feds yet.
Right. So if I can, I don't want to be sitting here with all these people watching, because I want you to listen at exactly what happened and go from there. Okay?
Okay.
And that's not, I know you're trained to do this and interrogate people and all this. I want nothing more than for Gannon to be okay. That's all I want. I promise you. That's all I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And I will take whatever resources, whatever help you want me to go do, even if it means take myself in the middle of somewhere where someone wants me to go to get him, to make sure he's okay. I would do it. Because I love Gannon. And I love my family. And I love the ground that everybody walks on. Albert, Harley, Lena, Gannon. That is my family. Okay?
So,
and I know in the end, you might think you got whatever by this and forensics and whatever. And I'm not arguing any of that. Very smart to know that you're a smart man. You're not stupid. But I need the help, the resources to not be attacked anymore. To know that something on the stupid app was a silly mistake. Okay?
So you brought someone in.
So I'm not, I just said I would talk to you.
I know, I get it. So, I'm representing law enforcement from Colorado.
I understand.
Okay. And if you tell me something, even though, we started a recording now and whatever else, and if you say we won't talk unless we turn off the recording, that can happen, but I'm going to pull in all those resources.
No, I want you to pull in resources. I'm not denying you to say pull in the resources. I'm looking at you from mother to a father. I have been scared because I don't know what's going to happen. Not with because I did something. I wouldn't have told you that there was people, random people, intervention, or all these things if there wouldn't have been. Okay? I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Could have easily just been like, hey, if there was truly what you guys had thought about, I don't think you intentionally done it, there was this accident, common sense, well enough to know to pick up the phone and say an accident happened. I'm not stupid, okay? Might be freaking out because I don't know how to get this help, but I'm not stupid, okay? And that's looking you dead in the eye to tell you, I did not hurt Gannon at all, okay? Swear to you. So if you're willing to give me the opportunity to talk to you, I don't want to be like watched by people. I don't want to be, whatever.
This is a separate recorder. This is mine.
Right. And so does the Myrtle Beach House.
Yeah, they do.
Right. Right. But I need the help.
You'll get the help.
Okay.
All we're focusing on is finding the kid.
Okay, and that's what I want. I don't want to look at you look at me like I'm just this bad person who doesn't want to find our child. That's not it. I just don't, when it came at me as an attack, okay, because that's what originally happened, okay, and I get it. They have to do their job, because guess what? They're probably parents too, right? So they have to do their job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get that part, okay. You can ask me about any of these, whatever, I'm sure it was something I saw somewhere, and I never looked up anything about some stepchild. I've looked up how I haven't got help, and how I wanted help, and how I wanted to be the person that they always were. Well, I didn't even want them to go home. I didn't even want them to have to go to their mother at all, because I had to see the pain and agony Albert went through, worry. So you're going to take my character based upon
No.
whatever.
That's just part. Listen, when a kid goes missing, we don't only look at the person, we look at the entire neighborhood, we go through people's closets, everybody's lives is turned upside down.
And I'll tell you right now, if any of this is since then, of course I've looked at what people said. If people said something about the FBI, I Googled
but
FBI.
Again, you worry too much about what we think. If you will get us there, we can protect you.
Okay, so then I talk to you. And I don't talk to Myrtle Beach Police Department and all these other people. I talk to you, and I explain to you. Okay? Because you're already saying you are charging me with something.
It's already been charged.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You're already saying that. Okay? So how do I know that when I give you this here information?
But that's what this recording does. It protects you, because I've already told you we will do this. We used to not record things, but we do now. And the only people sitting in there is the district attorney and some of the El Paso people. Myrtle Beach has nothing to do with this. They helped us find you.
Right.
So they have to be involved in this.
I understand that. There's nothing against Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach is not in on this.
Okay, well,
if someone else took Gannon, we can find him.
Here, and I don't like that. I want to be able to have an emotional, raw conversation.
Let's do it now.
I can't.
I mean, we can't go anywhere. Where do you want to go?
Because I know people are sitting there.
Nobody's sitting there.
Okay, someone's watching from there.
They are in the other room. It's the district attorney. Do you want me to tell them they can't watch?
No, I want to talk to someone in a raw, real conversation so you can see truly in my heart the situation. That's what I want.
That's what this is.
No, it's not, sir.
But how can I make
Who
it
is it?
that,
The district
Letecia?
attorney from Colorado?
Yes.
Yeah, see? Come on.
I can ask him to leave the room.
No, it's not about leaving the room. It's about I'm asking for, instead of going through all, this, whatever, sitting here wasting our time or whatever, I'm asking just to talk to you. Because I'm taking your word that you're going to help me and you're going to provide the resources from wherever you said you have them.
Before I do that, let me ask you some questions, okay? Because this is our investigation.
Right.
You're taking all these trips up to Palmer Lake. Multiple trips.
Mm-hmm.
Different cars.
Mm-hmm.
Renting a car.
Okay.
How are you not involved in this?
First off, I didn't ever get the drive to rental car anywhere. Because immediately once we, let me go ahead and correct on this now. Once we got the rental car or whatever, the National Guard was there. Everybody was in the house. We went in Albert's truck the whole entire day going to Come and Go and all these places. So I never drove the rental car anywhere. And it's already been corrected from budget about the rental car situation. I had to get that corrected yesterday. I never even drove it anywhere because I didn't get to. So whatever GPS you get from the rental car, it never was driven by me anywhere but literally up the street, back. I didn't hardly drive it anywhere. So there was no rental car driven to any kind of places at all. The only time I went anywhere in the rental car might have been maybe 40, 50 miles. I don't know, no more than 100 miles, counting there and back. And that was just driving it through the day because I went back to get my car.
But you're the only one at the PetSmart.
For what?
We can see the video there.
Not in a rental car.
No, I'm not saying rental car. I'm just sorry. I'm just working through this to say if someone else is involved.
Okay.
It's only you there.
And what the PetSmart has nothing to do with this.
This is Monday, though.
Yeah, but the PetSmart has nothing to do with this at all.
With Gannon's disappearance.
And that's where the whole entire thing is where, that's where I just said, I know I'm not going to be able to trust you. Because you just immediately went to the PetSmart.
Well, I went from the rental car, said, so what? But I'm trying, the reason why my mind is going there, it's going to where do we have video?
Mm-hmm.
What did we miss? Mm-hmm. If there's someone else involved.
And did you not see me completely freaking out, like, at the PetSmart? Did you not see that?
No.
Did you not see me walking back and forth at the PetSmart?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So.
Yeah, but we can't interpret your behavior as what if Gannon's hurt in the back of the truck? What if Gannon talks to someone? We don't know why you're freaking out.
If Gannon was hurt in the back of the truck, you already have the truck too.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's not even remotely even the case at all. It's not even remotely the case at all.
But we don't know because there's no Gannon to tell us. Does that make sense?
Trust me, I want Gannon to be able to tell you. Because I know he would walk right in that room and tell you that I would never hurt him and did not. Guaranteed. Doesn't mean I've always been the perfect step-parent. Doesn't mean I haven't fussed with people. Doesn't mean I haven't been stressed or whatever because I never wanted them to leave and go to this place with their mom. That's a fact. Complete fact. I begged and begged and begged for them to stay with me. So until you realize that as my character, you're not going to realize to be able to help me.
But I've already said, from what I can tell, you don't have any violence in your background.
I'm not violent. I don't hurt people.
Yeah. So
I'm
willing to chase. You have a lot of resources right here.
But you just sit and told me though that the Petco, we've already seen the video. There's no one out there.
But we don't. Again.
You saw the inside of the videos for Petco.
Right, and we saw the parking lot.
Okay.
But we can't see inside the truck very well.
Okay. All right. You're 100% saying you can't see inside the truck very well. Okay. But you didn't see anything else at Petco or whatever.
That's
right?
not me.
Okay.
So when I say we,
well,
my
I'm sorry,
job,
you.
Yeah, my job is not to look at all the video.
Okay. We
have everything in a case like this. I told you a bunch of leads come in, etc. Mm-hmm. And we have someone review Petco and tell us we saw nothing, or we saw this, or we saw that. I don't have time to do all that stuff.
Right.
So when I say me or we, I didn't look at the Petco video myself.
Okay. But it became a point of contention when it's completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant.
Yeah, but... So you're testing my experience.
No, I'm not testing your experience. Absolutely not. I'm actually asking for your help, not testing your experience.
And I'm failing your test.
So I know.
Because everything that I've looked at in this case, when you see the blood spatter on the wall, you see a big pool in the corner.
Okay.
You see your shoes that we've collected with Gannon's blood on the bottom of them.
Okay.
And then you point to Eduardo, who doesn't exist, or maybe he did exist, and we don't have a last name.
Okay.
Then you point to Quincy Brown, and then you say Uncle Matt, these names and stuff, and it's like, I've seen it before, and that was Harold. That was.
But I'm not Harold.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying this is my experience.
Right. I got you.
I'm not saying you are, but it didn't go well for him because his attorney got up. He's one of the best attorneys in Colorado. He cost $600,000. Craig Truman, and he started.
He paid $600,000. Okay.
With his dead wife's money, and Craig got up and said, "Harold is not a murderer, but he is a liar."
Right.
And that's what I was worried about when I first got the case, because they asked me to come in and work that case because I had worked other cases like it. And Harold's just sitting there all confident and whatever else. Please don't say this is you. I'm just saying this is my experience, because Harold told all these different stories. But when you start out with your defense attorney saying, my client is a liar, he's just making up crap. That's to the victim's family on how Tony died. That's to his friends at church. And all of them got up and testified, these are the different ways Tony died.
Again, it's not good.
But he might be today. You don't know that if someone is willing, if this, whether it's related or not, the head thing, if someone's willing to hold a kid for 30 days, how are they not willing to kill him?
Can I ask you something, or can I say something?
Yes.
Even if the scenario would have been me just going to go talk to the lady here and telling them, hey, this is what happened. This is who did it. I know that he was hurt by someone. You know what the next question you're going to say to me? Who was this person? And all I'd say to you was, well, can you help me figure it out from this app? Or can you help me figure it out from this? And you know what you would say to me? Oh, yeah, sure. Right? That's exactly what you would say to me. So, unless I can take you directly to where Gannon is, safe and sound, that is the only way that you're going to be like, oh, okay, wait, she was telling the truth about something.
So this person is telling you that he's safe.
So that's the only thing you would have been like. I've even asked y'all, or I say y'all again, I mean, you're fast.
I get it.
Hey, please help. Why is the name of the Lord? Please, please, please. You're not understanding. Like, I have begged that completely. Like, day in and day out. Begged it to let me.
I still don't understand, Letecia. The thing I don't understand is you're a good person. If you're a good person, why would you not trade your life for Gannon's?
I do. I want to trade my life for Gannon's. But what you have to also understand is not just my life. If it would be just me trade my life for Gannon, I would be totally okay with that.
Now you're talking about more than an individual.
No, I'm talking about talking about other people in the family. I'm talking about, involved in this. You're talking about more than one person, because there's no way one person is going to take out multiple people if they talk. I never said someone was like multiple people. I never said it was anything.
But how can you be so afraid of one person?
Because of any actions that could be taken to lead up to why you may know this person, or why you might down there now.
Is he law enforcement?
Okay.
Or something that has more power than you would think?
Sir, I want to help, but I need protection.
I told you, I will give you protection. And I'm saying this with attorneys listening to me say this. They'd be rushing in the room right now saying, you can't promise her that, but I can.
Okay, well, who can? Who can promise that?
Do you want to talk with the district attorney?
Sure.
Okay, I'll bring her in. Do you need to go to the restroom?
No.
Okay.
Hi. Thanks. I'm Martha McGinn. I'm with the district attorney's office.
Just so you know, I looked behind there. This place is under construction. There's no one back. I can walk you back there if you want to look.
Oh, no, I believe you. I was just talking about all these people watching.
Yeah, and Martha's been watching.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah. So John said you wanted to talk to me?
About protection?
So, I don't have any trust in anyone. And obviously, I know I've told him that I said things to Albert because I was mad and upset, whatever. But how do I know that I'm going to get help? Like, because I didn't hurt you, okay, at all. But I need the help to figure out how we're going to get to Gannon.
Let me read you what she wrote.
Okay.
Or I'll just show it to you.
And I know it's Saturday. I probably should, you know.
The head thing was Saturday. It had nothing to do with this. Check my phone for an app. This will explain. So we do have your phone, and we have gone through, like, these are keystrokes.
Right. I'm talking
So,
about, like, it's a, like, when you download apps.
Did you have a different phone beside the one that was in your van? Did you have another phone? Like a second phone?
Yeah. No. It's the same phone.
It's the same phone?
Yeah. No, not the same phone. You guys have the phone. That was just someone else's phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at this time, that
Yeah, I
disappeared,
understand that's the same. The 843 is a 655 number.
But you didn't have a second one that this app might be on.
No. I only had this phone.
So, and let me explain, Martha. My understanding of what Letecia's asking is, how does she know, since I've said, if there's a bad guy or guys out there that did this to Gannon, that she can tell us where these guys are, and she's concerned for not only her safety, but the safety of her family.
Right.
And how can
he asked me would I trade my life for Gannon, and I said yes, but I said it's also other people. Like, how do I know that everyone else is not going to be involved? Like, you know, and how do I know that you guys aren't just trying to be like, whatever, if I walk you through anything or can help you with anything, I don't want to be just thrown somewhere, like, being like, okay, well, you didn't tell me this, and I want to be able to help you and work together because I'm sure you have kids or grandkids or whatever. I do. I don't want to sound like I'm cold-hearted, and I'm just tired of being like the person chased instead of being able to have someone to actually have compassion to help me.
Well, I was a little bit confused when I was watching it because John talked about how they're the FBI and they're the premier law enforcement agency that could protect you, could protect your entire family. And if Gannon's alive, they...
Okay.
I can't make you any promises.
Right.
Because obviously there's a lot of information that you have that we don't.
Okay.
So there aren't any promises. I can't come in here and promise you anything regarding the court case or the arrest warrant or your involvement in it.
Okay.
But I can tell you what the number one priority is.
Right.
And it's to find Gannon.
Right.
And so if you were talking to some small law enforcement agency and they said, sure, we'll protect you, I mean, I can see how you would be suspicious of that.
Well, you guys were the lead agency. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I mean, they're the most elite agency there is.
Oh, okay.
And so if there was a time for you to feel like that you could protect
that recorder, we can.
Because I know you have yours. That's what I'm saying.
As a backup.
So if you want the recording turned off, you need to tell us really explicitly that that's your choice. Because the recordings have been put into law so that there's not a debate where he says you said one thing and you said I didn't, right? So it's to protect the person being interviewed.
Right.
But if it's something that you...
It's not that I'm trying to, I just don't, it's just I wanted to have like a conversation with him, just him, and try to explain to him in complete detail about everything, because I do want this, I want the help to the next level to find out where he is. I really do. You guys have looked, you went to GPSs and all this, but you haven't found Gannon because you're coming after me. And I understand you're going to say, well, this is what we have to go on, and I respect that totally. But it was the first time I ever get to sit down with people to actually to say, okay, this is what happened, this is what I know, please help me. Because then I feel like if I don't, because see, I easily would be like, hey, just give me an attorney and call it a day. I really want, do you think I want to waste time if I got resources when that's all I've asked for? I don't want to waste time.
And if there's a chance it can be saved, everybody wants that information. But the only people who can save them are the FBI. I don't want you to think that this is being broadcast to the whole world.
Right.
You know, there's another DA with me. There's no County County person.
Right.
But they're the ones. What the reason that we do that also is, I might miss something, and I probably do, and so then I can go talk to them and say, what am I missing? And then also it protects you, because if I make a promise that I can't deliver on with the FBI, then Martha gets to hear it, and then she would knock on the door.
But as soon as I give you information, what's going to happen is someone's going to say, well, you were involved with this person. You were cheating with this person. You were doing this. I'm just giving you scenarios.
But that's a lot better situation than you're in right now.
But what if I wasn't? That's my thing. And that's where the burden of proof, I can't depend my life on the burden of proof to be involved with just someone thinking that I'm just a bad person. I did not hurt Gannon. Okay.
There aren't any promises I can make you about you. I can tell you that we're looking for the truth. And it seemed to me from listening to it that you had information, but I can't make you any promises.
But what I'm saying is, if you're saying to me, I have information, you're going to come and say, well, you should have given this information when I did nothing but attack. That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying?
You can't armchair quarterback yourself, though. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't look into the future and say, well, we're going to say this because you said this. If what Martha and I are saying are true, and that our only focus is Gannon, we don't care who leads us there, we just need Gannon, then you are protecting yourself by telling us this. If you never give us this information, then you don't protect yourself. And then we have one person to prosecute for Gannon.
Well, and our focus is who took him and who hurt him, not with when people came forward with information.
How do I know that? Because that's my biggest thing. I know you're saying that, but like whatever I can do to help, I can help you. But I'm saying, how do I know that if, let's just say it's whatever, I tell you a specific person, okay? Let's just say that, okay? Then my thing is, well, your thing is going to be like, well, you held this information from me, and I'm having to utilize my resources, okay, and do all those things, not understanding that maybe sometimes there are people who are afraid of any other things going on.
Every day in my work, there are people who report things later than some people think they should. Every day. And we try to focus on the violent crime, and we certainly try to focus on the kids. I know that you want assurances, and you want me to be able to say, you know, I will or won't do this, and I can't make you promises because I'm in the dark, right? It would be foolish for me to make you promises, but I have people who late report sex assault all the time. We have people who come forward years later. Our interest is in the truth about the crime. This is really y'all's conversation to have. And I know that you wanted to have a frank conversation with them where you could really tell them. So unless you need me, I'm going to step out.
Okay, but you're still going back in the room.
Would you like us to turn it off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll turn it off.
How do I know that? It's not that I don't want you to know anything. I want to be able to like really talk to him and just know that I can sincere see in your heart you're going to help me.
I can bring you back there and you can see us turn it off, but the truth is I could just turn it back on again.
I know.
I mean, there's a point where no one can verify everything you want.
Well, plus, that's her life. She has to tell the truth, just like I to you when you don't want her to listen to you. You kind of have to look at logic here.
Okay.
I don't think Martha would throw away.
I don't want
No,
you to
no.
know. I want you to have all the information.
Yes.
That's
Well,
it.
So are you okay with the recording continuing? We just won't be monitoring it.
No, I did. He said that we
You
wouldn't.
wanted to turn off?
He said I could just talk to him.
Okay. So we're just going to turn off the recording, and that's your choice. That's
Okay.
what you want, right?
Yes.
And so he controls the turning it off from here? Or are they?
No, you'll have to ask.
Okay, I'll ask them
Find
to.
someone.
And so it's just going to get turned off.
Okay.
And then once it's done, then I'll come back out and we'll turn it back on.
And it'll be a conversation between the two of you, and it'll be like the way law enforcement.
All right.
Anything else from me?
No.
I'm going to go get him, turn it off.
I know that they're not, so.
I'll go watch. Do you want me to
No,
do that?
it's fine. I just know that they're not. It's not that I don't want them to know anything. I just don't want it being like, I know that people are leaking information.
That's not going to happen. That doesn't do us any good. From El Paso,
Mm-hmm.
the sheriff's office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I've had this hard time with like trusting anybody. I actually was trying to reach out to the Barbara lady. You know Barbara?
Amber?
No, it's Barbara.
Who's Barbara?
She was like another, like an FBI lady. I was actually going to talk to her today.
Yes.
Okay. So apparently this recording runs 24/7, so it can't be turned off.
Okay.
But the other FBI agents, also they have a protocol where there has to be another person for security. Those are the choices we have. But we can move you to another room that's not being recorded if that's something that you want.
Okay.
But another FBI
But you'd
agent
have
would be
to
in
have
there.
another agent in the room.
Okay, is it someone you know?
You know them all.
Yeah, unless they're from a different office, and even then I've met most of the ones from Myrtle Beach.
Okay. That'll work.
So they'll go set up a room someplace else. And then we'll do it. It'll be the two FBI agents and you, and the recordings will be turned off.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Did she need you stuff over
No,
there?
It's pretty incredible.
It's not that I don't want them to have information. I want to be able to like really get your help, and you tell me that what steps can we take, or what steps can you take, I guess, because you said you have an ability to do resources or whatever.
We find people all over the world. I'm finding a guy right now who changed his identity and went to Russia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Just so you know, if you look on the paper, I did look that up. Only because I was just wondering, like, if you could, because I wanted to know, like, if someone was whatever, how could you tell really quickly, to find them out?
Before we do all this stuff, I've never seen, and not to say it hasn't happened, someone take a kid and not ask for ransom, and the kid be okay.
No, I did. I sent into the FBI those messages that you guys had on my phone. Yes. Did you get those?
I think you sent it to the FBI.
Whatever that email address is, I think it's that Barbara or something. I want to tell you what the name is. I think it's Barbara. So like.
Barbara from the FBI.
Yeah, she has a 720 number, and I feel like her name is Barbara. And my friend Amy has been talking to her a lot.
Are you sure she's from the FBI? Our numbers are all 303.
No, this is a 720 number.
She's not FBI. Her name's Barbara.
Wow, I can tell you the number. It's in the other phone, but yeah, it's Barbara something, and 720 is the first three digits.
Yeah. Well, she's not working this case, because I would know it. Because I'm the lead FBI agent working
right.
this.
Yeah, I know.
How did you get in touch with Barbara?
My friend Amy, she called my friend Amy and was like asking questions, because I guess originally people wanted to know if like Gannon came like with me or something. And my friend Amy gave me the information, which was I think it was a 720 number. And anything I found, like the Snapchat, I sent over to this lady, like to whatever this number was, I sent to it.
It never made it to us.
So there's no one named Barbara.
Well, no, we have a Barbara. There's Barbara Kelleher, but she's not. She doesn't even work these sort of crimes.
Yeah, no, this is totally Barbara, and it's a 720 number, and if I had the other phone, I can tell you exactly what the number was.
When did you send this to her?
This would have been like, okay, so then this happened 3 days ago, and then it happened February 5th, I think. So what happened was I got all the messages when I logged back in from my iCloud. I got all the messages that were like just sitting there. And so I took that message and I forwarded it to, like, I sent it to people and I sent it to Albert. And I said, hey, I said, can you get someone to, like, look into this? I said, it could be just people, you know, sending random messages, or it could be creepers, you know, like people, whatever, being stupid, or it could be just, in general, you know, the actual person. And so no one ever said anything to me about it. Then I get the Snapchat. Okay, so that's
let me interrupt you for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Letecia, there's an 11-year-old kid. Again, we have to go back there. 11-year-old kid, injuries in the house. Now we know that. Taken. And you don't come to law enforcement for 30
This was a law enforcement
but
person.
No, there's no Barbara. I mean, how did you get in from, except through your friend? You had Amber from the FBI.
Right, but she said that she worked with the FBI and she was going to send information. She said that she worked with Amber. I swear to you, if you call Amy, you can get the number from her to find out what Barbara, who the Barbara lady was. And she was actually emailing her today.
But if you told them back then, and you trusted them with that information,
this is why
why are you not today? Because
no one has helped. I tried since February 5th. The 5th. Today's March. That's why you see I had such a problem with trust. Because
I was there when you were talking to Amber, though. That was your chance.
To Amber.
Yeah, that's the legit FBI.
So then, is that what happened when I was talking to Amber? I got a message back from the attorney who said not to talk to you guys because you guys, A, weren't lead agency or something like that, and then B, not to say anything else unless he was present. That was when I was trying to talk to Amber.
But why wasn't that with Barbara then?
Because I gave it to my friend Amy, who had this relationship with Barbara, like trying to check on her.
But see, again, this sounds like a lot of your calls.
Mm-hmm.
To where you're pointing fingers in different directions but never giving specific things.
Right, I did.
Right now, I mean, if Gannon is somewhere and you can get us there, and he sent proof of life or a picture of Gannon or whatever else, it makes no sense for some man to have an 11-year-old child.
It wasn't that. It was because we thought it was someone playing games. And if someone was playing games, we were trying to say that person would have been like obstructing or whatever. That was the whole point. Not somebody had him and they were like, here, come get. My point was that we thought it was someone, hey, here's someone playing games. Could you find out who this person is?
Yeah, but do you see where that's going? And all your talks with Al. Those are distractions. Those take up time.
Yeah.
And Gannon's over here. Somewhere.
Yeah.
And you are misleading law enforcement.
No, I didn't mislead them.
No. Well, you're misleading anybody who would report to us.
No, I didn't mislead any of them. Who did I mislead?
With all these other stories.
That was to Albert. I wasn't misleading law
enforcement. But you knew we were in the room. You
because
said that.
I wouldn't have said stuff like that if I was trying to mislead. I was just being whatever to Albert because he was making me upset. That's all.
The dad of a kid is not finding his son.
Because I'm also the stepmother who helped him get the kids, and he wouldn't have gotten them without me. So yes, he wouldn't have.
You're willing to do that to Al, though.
No, I already had apologized to him and said that was awful to say that to him out of anger. I had already done that.
But before we kick this thing in motion about all this protection and whatever, why haven't you said one thing, though, today? How in the world would he suffer a head wound on Saturday that requires...
I didn't say it was a head wound that required anything. I said the head thing you're talking about when I said something to Albert. I said the head thing you're talking about. That's what I said.
So the bike accident thing?
You already trying... A bike accident?
No, the head thing talking to Albert.
Never mind. I'll just wait until you are ready to talk to me from beginning to the end. Because I already said that is completely irrelevant to anything that what you're talking about. Completely irrelevant. I told Albert something else that was just stories, just to be whatever to him. And it was wrong, and I already had apologized to Albert.
So the things that you told Albert were that he was feeling these burns Was that happening?
I'm not going to answer any more questions because you're asking me about things telling Albert out of being upset. There was nothing happening that I was telling Albert. Nothing. I was literally just saying that to Albert because I was upset for him not standing by me and was figuring this out. This had nothing to do with me wanting to purposefully do whatever or tell you guys anything. That was not what it was.
But,
it was me being upset with Albert.
Let me go back to a kid missing is about as bad as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
I had a bank robbery 15 years ago to where a female went in the bank, she robbed the bank, she got the money, she came back to the car, and she drove away.
Mm-hmm.
She was prosecuted for that. There were guys in the car with guns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but she could have gone into the bank, said, lock those doors, those guys are making me do this.
Right.
You know, yours is now, we have 30-some days of Gannon missing, and you haven't talked to one law enforcement officer to say, I know where he is and he's safe.
I never did not try to talk to you guys. I never did not. No one ever, when I felt like I was getting like completely like bam, 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 bombarded by the El Paso, no one ever reached out to me from FBI to like have a conversation like you did. No one. No one ever did.
And you don't feel comfortable talking to El Paso, why?
It's not that I don't feel comfortable talking to them. I just feel like from point A to point B, they have taken this approach, and like you made even a comment about something about Palmer Lake and all this, about this.
Right.
Because that's the approach that they've taken, as if it's just a person who is not alive. And that bothers me because I don't want
we're actually the ones,
approach.
we're the ones that told them that, and that's statistically true.
What? You statistically told them what?
From Gannon's age,
Mm-hmm.
and from the amount of time that he's been missing, he is most likely dead.
But what I'm saying is, as a parent, is that maybe because you're like used to saying that or something, but is that something like as a parent you would want to hear?
No, but would you rather hear a lie? Would you rather hear statistically he's probably alive? When it's about I would say it's less than a 1% chance at this point.
But why?
And him being 11, they would have asked for something.
But why?
Kidnappings don't happen without a demand or
Mm-hmm.
without it being a parental deal.
Parental deal or a demand.
Yeah.
So you're saying that nothing else, nobody intervenes ever. Ever.
I've seen one other time, and again, I've worked violent crime in Denver for 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
a little over. And I saw one kid wander down the street. He had autism,
Mm-hmm.
and this was up in Brighton. And a guy took him in the house. He had him for a day. The guy was mentally disabled as well, so we had two things happening at once. We had a kid
Mm-hmm.
with autism who just started wandering, and then we had a developmentally delayed adult who was just playing video games with him for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But we ended up, the public said, there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember knocking on the door. He had made little blankets for the kid in there. The kid was playing video games, and nothing bad had happened.
Right.
That's the exception. I've been to where kids have been dismembered, 10-year-olds.
That's awful.
And from the blood in the house, that's what I'm thinking happened. I'm not saying he just got dismembered in the house, but
Mm-mm.
there's enough blood in there
Mm-mm.
that we don't think he survived.
Mm-mm. How could you have, like, possibly say that when you clearly see Gannon walking, leaving on Monday? That's
No, leaving on Monday at 10, yes.
right.
Correct.
Right. Walking. Okay?
But he comes back.
Walking.
Correct.
Okay? Walking.
Not walking well.
Totally fine. Stomach hurts. Walk with like this. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but he's back at 2.
Back at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. If that's what you say, then then this whole thing is like even pointless to even say anything, because if you're saying back at 2, but then you're also saying something about going legs and here and there and whatever, and it's like none of it is even making sense. It doesn't even make sense.
So
For
between
me,
the two Petco trips is when he disappeared then.
It doesn't make sense to me
Letecia.
to say.
So let me tell you. I've been working for 14 years with a guy named Scott Kimball. He's our informant that went around killing the girls. Do you remember me telling you about him before?
Oh, yeah.
When we first started.
Yeah.
Not our best day, because I have dads out there who still wonder if their daughters are alive. Scott taught me one thing very well. There's only two people that can tell a story when someone either goes missing. Because one of these girls, Jennifer, she's still missing. Like I said, we're pretty sure she's dead because it's been 14 years since anybody's seen her. But Scott told me, John, only two people can testify to what happened between me and Jennifer. And that's me, and that's Jennifer. Right. And you're never going to find her.
He said that to you?
He did.
Wow.
So I've got to answer to his dad for the rest of my life. And I'll probably be answering to his dad after I retire, because Dad has my cell phone. Dad calls me on her birthday, on the day she went missing, on Father's Day.
How was he able to say that to you?
Because he's like, there's no other witnesses. So when I take a guess, and that's a guess that he came back home, that's because people that looked on the video said he probably did, or, I don't have the information you have. And I hear you do that to Al by saying, oh, so that's what you think. Well, none of us know. You know.
Because I have to be that way. If I don't be that way, then no one's going to help me. I didn't hurt Gannon. Okay, I didn't.
That's fine, but right now you're the only one who was with him.
But I didn't hurt Gannon.
But how are you going to get past these charges without help? How does that work?
Without help?
Without you telling me. Like, again, it'd be like I told you the story about Jennifer. If somebody knew where Jennifer was, and they're not telling me or Bob Markham, the dad. I
didn't say I knew where Gannon was.
You said you know he's okay.
No, I said as a parent, I'm never going to sit here and look at you and say, he's not okay. That's not what I'm going to do, because I didn't do this. So why would I look at you and say that? Like, I'm dead looking at you in the eye saying, I would never as a parent say that. No way could I ever say that. Because I love Gannon. I did not hurt Gannon. Okay.
I told you where most of these happen. They happen in the house with parents who love their kids.
I get what you're saying, okay? I understand. I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate all the work and time and dedication you put into all of these things to have those statistics. But I am not the one.
But then if you're not the one, you're going, so do you know what happens from here?
What?
You go to a local holding cell.
Okay.
They hold you for 24 hours, up to 2 weeks, until you get extradited back to Colorado.
Okay.
You're in jail, Letecia. And unless you tell me that somebody else did this, you're the only one that did it.
No, I didn't do it.
But I'm telling you.
But I didn't.
But that's what would be horrible, is if someone else did this, and you're going to let them skate because you're scared?
Not letting someone skate.
What could you possibly be scared of at this point?
I'm not letting... Do you think I would sit here and let someone skate if I could take you directly to the person right now? Why do you think I would need resources?
You don't need resources. Right now, what you need is that if someone took my son, and I know who it is, am I going to go to jail for the rest of my life because someone else took my son?
No, absolutely not.
No, and would I be afraid of my own protection going to jail when I could be free and that person could go to jail? That doesn't make any sense. She just sit there. Even if I walked you to the person, she just sit there and said, oh, I can't make any promises. You can't make promises, but which is better? To go to jail for the rest of your life and hope that we find the person, or to point us to a person? If I'm in your position, it makes no sense. Right. Well, what could you be scared of at this point? Reprisals? No. The fact that you don't have... Apparently you would have found some of this already if you would have had the resources. That's what scares me. Found some of what? Anything that would have led you to think whatever. No, that doesn't make sense. Again. Sir, it does. Or what did you say name? James? John? John. Starts with a J, that's fine. Sorry. I'm not offended. Letecia, your story makes no sense. And what it goes back to now is that you can't take responsibility for what happened to Gannon. I didn't do anything to Gannon, sir. You can't insert someone else in here unless you're going to tell me who it is. Okay, I didn't do anything to Gannon, sir. That's fine. But then you would tell me who it is if
I
it's
didn't
someone
do
else.
anything to Gannon, sir.
Did he do it to himself?
Okay. I didn't do anything to
I'm
Gannon.
not asking you if you did.
I didn't
I'm
do
asking
anything to Gannon.
did Gannon do it to himself?
Do what to himself?
The head injury, the neck injury, whatever that was that caused that pool of blood down by the bottom of its bed. You know that the sheets and all that stuff, the blood seeps down in.
And what now?
The blood seeped down
In
through that
sheets?
corner,
Sheets?
through the sheets into the mattress.
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
You cleaned it up off the wall.
So wait.
There's. Do you know where the head of his bed was?
I don't know anything about blood and sheets, okay? I did not take any sheets and clean up.
You told Al on the phone you cleaned up the wall. The room is ready whenever you. Okay.
Thank you for watching. The next part of this series should be right here for you, and we will see you in the next one.